Welcome back. This will be a preview episode of some award predictions me and Tyler are going to do for the AL. We'll start off with. Really like the awards predictions. It's a lot of fun to kind of take a stab at. I think I've probably been wrong in my Cy Young picks like 3 times in a row, but I think I have always picked a guy that's finished in the top five, to be fair. But hopefully this year's the year. Can nab it. I should do a better job of writing it down each year so I can pull it back up because I can't really remember most of my picks from other years. But this year I'll write it down, and maybe next year we'll be able to review it a little bit. Let's start off, Tyler, with our favorite award. I really love that Cy Young award. I think that race every year is something that always, for whatever reason, makes me excited. I always keep an eye on that all throughout the year. We've talked about a couple of guys before this episode I think are definitely in the running in the AL. Who would you say are some of the names to keep an eye out for, and eventually who's going to be your pick for that?
Yeah, no, I don't want to steal your thunder on any of these, but um, the two names I think that stuck out to me the most, and maybe it's because of some excitement. Like you'll have some of the old heads, like Syndergaard's a guy you definitely expect to be in the running. DV Garcia with kind of his stuff makeup could always be up there, but the two that I like the most at the top, the one is John Pittman in Oakland. Not doesn't really have the results. It was a nearly 4 WAR season his rookie year last year, but an ERA kind of in the low fours. I just think with that stadium and that defense, he's just going to be um, really impressive. Keep the ball in the yard consistently. He just needed the stuff and the control to come out. He's only striking out 6.6 per nine last year. And for a 65 stuff guy now, that just will not be the case again. So expect some improved results there. Him and then my other is JP Massey for the White Sox. We touched on it in the AL Central preview, but he has just roasted everyone this spring. So another profile that's absolutely unbelievable. But I'm gonna go with Pittman. I think that would be a fun story. Oakland, a very good and up and coming team. Ninth round pick, making it up. Probably feels a little hard done having to go against Oscar Soto in the Rookie of the Year last year. So Pittman's going to be my pick.
I love it. I think those two guys are just so exciting. Can't wait to see the results for the reasons you mentioned. Pittman finished second the AL Rookie of the Year last year, I guess, to Soto, and it's crazy. Soto had almost double the WAR, but yeah, Pittman's ratings just keep going up. I think Soto is definitely, obviously, another guy to keep an eye out for. But I think a couple other names just to throw out there for you viewers. I think that will be in the running. Jared Jones, I think, is another guy. All three of those guys in Chicago have a chance for that Cy
Mm-hmm.
Young. Jared Jones has such a beautiful profile, throws the ball so hard, 65 stuff with 101 mile an hour, and he's a ground ball guy. Really good defense behind him, so he's just a monster there too. Then you got a couple arms throughout the league. Other than that, like you mentioned, Syndergaard. I think all those Boston guys always have a chance to put up pretty big seasons with how good the defense is behind them. If you guys haven't looked, check out Chris Sale's profile. Chris Sale, at the age of 37 years old, just got a velo jump, and his stuff went up 10 at the age of 37. That wasn't from jumping to the bullpen. His actual stuff rating just went up 10 as a starter. He has been a 60 and 65 stuff guy for like 5 years now, went right back up to 70. So he's at 70 stuff, 70 control, which is hilarious to get that much better. He did lose some movement, but yeah, he he just got a little bit extra juice at the old age there, whether that's steroids or not, to be determined. But that's another name that should have a big year. Kyle Quantrill has crazy ratings. He constantly puts up 4 and 5 WAR seasons, so it's another guy that could always be in the running. I think a big name for me probably be I'd have the same top two as you. I think the third guy for me would be Kamar Rocker. I absolutely love this dude. 6'5" with 6'5" movement, 6'5" stuff. He's been in the high 20s the last few years for strikeouts, always within the 7% ratio for walks. Limited home runs a lot better last year. Still had 10 wild pitches last year, limited the stolen bases a little bit. Really coming into his own, into his prime now at 27 years old. Wouldn't shock me if he had a monster 6 or 7 more year and came away with Cy Young. I love his teammate Crispin. I think could have a big year too. Crispin's got a pretty nice profile, not quite as developed with that fourth pitch as the other guys. More of a three-pitch guy, but those three ratings are really good, and those three pitches are really good. Throws the ball hard, so another guy that could have a big year. Sneaky pick, I think, would be Tanner Witt, I think, has a huge ceiling in Cleveland. I don't know if he'll have a good enough squad to quite be elite enough. I guess he has that 75 range shortstop, so that could really help too. But his movement isn't quite what some of those other guys we've talked about is, but the stuff and control sure is. And the three pitches are as good as anyone's in baseball. It's 75, 75, and 70. Is there anyone I'm missing here, Tyler? Top arms?
I got another sneaky one, kind of like Wit. Zach Maxwell for the Astros was. You have to look back, but the year he debuted in 2025, he just roasted everyone in AAA, and then was so good once he got promoted to the majors. Had a 271, and for whatever the funk was going on in Houston last year, it definitely hit him because he stunk in the majors and he stunk in the minors, but it's an awesome profile, and especially if that team turns it back around, he could be their ace and definitely get some consideration.
Yeah, I love that pick. The guy is still 10 away from his stuff potential. The guy has quite a bit to go on that fourth pitch. That curveball's at a 45-65. So, yeah, I think he could definitely maybe develop a little more throughout the year and have a huge season because ratings wise, yeah, he's right up there with that's not far off like Massey and Soto and some of those guys we talked about earlier. I think those are
Mm-hmm.
probably actually better ratings than Soto. He has almost the same stuff and control, but his stuff's about
High
50 higher. So
movement.
yeah, it's really
Mm-hmm.
interesting how good he is. So yeah, that's a great pick too. I think there are a lot of nice arms in that AL that all have a pretty equal chance to win that award. I think but yeah, I think I agree with the Pittman and Massey kind of being the top two, and I think Rocker would be number three for me. Those three guys are just really good, and all are pretty young, so pretty exciting to see a couple of those young arms in the AL. Next up, we have the MVP. A lot of names that are still in their primes that haven't fallen off that have been in the running the last few years, and you should see a lot of similar faces. I'll start this off and say probably those guys in Houston have a pretty good shot. Pena and Bellinger, and I think your boy there, Bannister, is going to be right up there. And a couple other names that are always in the running are Devers and Vladdy Jr. and Franco. Any other names that kind of stick out to you in the AL, especially from that Central Division? We haven't really named anyone.
Um, yeah, in the Central, Pacheco was a guy who I thought had just I think I voted him higher than a lot of people last year. Just 40 home runs a year ago from a shortstop. Tremendous. Kierstad was a guy who was up there last year for the Royals, now the Voodoo. So could definitely see him, especially the pairing with Kalinick. That could be fun there. Um, but I think it just comes down to it's going to be whoever is the best ends up being the guy in Boston versus Cody Bellinger versus Vladdy is kind of what it feels like to me. My guess for in Boston that would be Lux, but you look at Bellinger's profile and it's so scary good, and it's crazy that he's had 6 WAR seasons these last couple, and they've been like pretty relative down years for him. So um, I think I want to pick Vladdy with a little extra help around him, but Bellinger would be the betting favorite, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Sneaky pick for me that I really like. His potential is in Boston there, yet another Boston guy, but I just love the center field profile. Corbin Carroll. I think the contact and the ability to steal 50 bases and be a Gold Glove center fielder while also hitting close to 20 home runs with like a 300 batting average. I think that's like an MVP type season. I think the ceiling on him is monstrous. I think he could really have like if he could play 140 games out there in center again. He only had 110 starts last year. I know they like to rest some of their top guys, with especially having a big division lead the last few years. But I think if he plays, like he gets 550 at bats or something, he could have a. He had 5.8 WAR last year in the 110 starts, so I think he's the guy that could definitely be in the running too. I love your Bellinger pick. I think Bellinger's profile is just ridiculous. I think if he doesn't regress, he's only 31. He feels older than that. It's just so young when you start TLG, I guess. Feels like he's supposed to be like 33, 34 up there with like Trout and those guys. So the fact that he's only 31, he could still have like 3, 4 more huge impact seasons before he even shows many signs of regressing. You never know. It's random. Some guys fall off a cliff at 32. Some hold on like Chris Sale till they're 37. You just never know. That's the fun randomness of out of the park. So who knows how many years Bellinger has? It could be anywhere from next year to 7 years from now. We'll see how long he holds on that elite production. But yeah, dude does definitely deserve to be in that MVP talk every single season. He's just so ridiculous. I think that's going to be a really fun award because I think pretty much everyone we just mentioned it to me is kind of in that same tier with other than Bellinger. I think he's the guy that really does have the potential to have like 8 or 9 WAR. But I think everyone else we mentioned kind of fits into that 5 to 6 WAR window most seasons, like
Yep.
Lux and Pacheco and every one of those guys, and like Kerstad. And I think out of all those guys we named, odds are 1 or 2 of them kind of has a huge year and maybe does have 7 or 8 WAR seasons, like 160 OPS plus and 45 home runs. But I think it's going to be like last year's a really down year for the totals. I think there was only like one player in the AL that had over 6 WAR, like Devers. So it'd be really interesting to see if how many numbers we get above 6 WAR this season. But a lot of guys kind of in that same boat of just being really solid players, but not like a crazy like 10 WAR type season like Soto had or Bellinger had in the past. So yeah, really really interesting award there for sure. Next up, we have Rookie of the Year. This is always a fan favorite. I know everyone loves those Rookie of the Year seasons, those big name young guys, and always kind of I think excites everybody because you haven't seen them yet. So if you have a good young player, it's exciting to think like what his ceiling's going to be. So what is a name that kind of is at the top of your list there for some of the Rookie of the Year favorite potentials?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to start with Schroeder in Minnesota just being the number one prospect, getting some time up last year. I think we touched on it with the Minnesota preview. It didn't go great. But pitchers, as long as the voting doesn't skew too badly against pitcher WAR, I think he is the most polished and complete guy there. The other kind of very highly touted prospect at the top is Jim Sparr in Baltimore, who I really like a ton. Big time strikeout potential from him. So if he gets the control just to an okay place, he could strike out a ton of batters. Um, I do think my pick though is going to be Phil Peters in New York. I think that offense is going to bang. I think it's a stadium that sits, really nicely for a power threat like him. So I'm going to go with Phil Peters, but it's looking like an AL. We're going to get a lot of top prospects up here early.
Yeah, I really like those picks. I think Peters has that profile traditionally is always in the running in real life. Rookie of the Year, those big power hitting bats that have potential to get 30 home runs have had a lot of Rookie of the Years over the years. I know doesn't bring a ton of defensive value, but Peters has such an advanced bat. Just brings such a beautiful profile to the table. I love the potential he has in the middle of that lineup, especially what we mentioned earlier that New York has a lot of big bats. I think there's going to be a lot of guys on base for him. Potential to put up some big counting stats. Especially, I think the RBI number could be well over 100 even as a rookie, so that's always kind of exciting for him. I think you mentioned before the video, your guy I think has in an opportunity to have a really good season. I think Victor Cantu, with the defense he has behind him, your defense is so elite. Should be in the top 3 for sure this year again. I think he has a chance to put up some really big time stats if he can limit the walks a little bit, because with that stuff and movement as a lefty being so nasty, I think with a good defense that might help the stats a little bit. I think he could put up a huge season if he could stay healthy all year in your rotation, maybe put up be worth 3 or 4 wins there. And I think he's going to have some major strikeout numbers. So really excited for his potential there. I think that's a good fit for Rookie of the Year also. I don't know if any of those. And there's a lot of young guys in Cleveland. I think Bianca
Yep,
lost his eligibility.
I was about to say Rattray is a
Good pick.
sneaky one too because he's a good defender. The bat should start to play. He moved pretty quickly through the minors last year, and obviously has the pedigree of being a top 5 pick. And it's a really clean across the board profile. So especially with that 70 outfield range playing center, he could put up a really good WAR total.
Yeah, I love it. I just noticed he went to Oregon State too, a big college baseball school. So really love that everything about that profile. Other than the fact you can't bunt for hits, not like that matters. But no, I really,
Drew
really,
won't get Drew's vote.
really, really solid profile. Speaking of Drew, he always seems to have a rookie up there for Rookie of the Year. Does he have any rookies this year? I think Zavala. No, he's not a rookie. He played a bunch last year. Seems like
The closer is no.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's his rookie right there, Joe Nixon, right? Oh, Vargas too. Yeah.
Vargas, yeah.
And we probably should probably try to pick out someone from the White Sox, because I think the White Sox have dominated this award in years past. I think back-to-back years they won it with Soto and Massey. I could be wrong there. Or no, Soto and Pacheco
Soto and
won it, right?
Pacheco. Yeah.
Yeah, and they always seem to have someone in the top 3. I think Jared Jones was before that. I think in the last like 5 years they've had like 4 top 5 finishes. Just ridiculous. I think even Tyree Reed was up there that one year when there was not too many good position players. He had that 1.9 WAR season, but just always seemed to have a bunch of guys produce early on for them. So trying to look through their roster here if they have any guys this year that kind of fit that profile. I don't know if Chris Newell is going to get a lot of opportunity there in the outfield. Pitching wise, I think they have those top three. Do they have any other young guns coming up? Doesn't
Tyler
look like.
Tyler Go in that stopper role. I don't think he'll put up enough WAR, but 80 stuff. He could have a great year too.
Yeah, that's some big time ratings there, 65, 65. So who knows what other guys? And there's always a bunch of guys we probably forget about. I think we didn't mention that Montreal guy who I personally have as one of the best pitching prospects in baseball. I think if he is able to start a bunch of games, he might have a chance. He's still more of a ceiling guy. He's not quite at his ratings. He's quite a bit off on his control, so I don't know if he's quite pro ready yet. But it wouldn't surprise me if he had a little control jump throughout the year. Maybe by the end of the year, he's at 55 control, ends the year with like 2.3 WAR if they give him some starts down the stretch. So who knows if he has a shot. Couple really nice picks. So I really like that Peters pick. I think he has a really good shot to bat like 280 with some big time offensive numbers. That's going to be a really cool award to do. And then I think for award wise, that's probably it. We could go over the gold gloves and silver sluggers, but that would probably take quite a while. And probably end the episode there, just doing the big three, and maybe next episode jump into the NL awards. But that'll be it for this one. Pretty fun awards. I like talking about all three of those. I think all three of them should be pretty close voting, and I'm just especially excited about that AL Cy Young one. I just love some of those young arms in the AL, so I'm excited to see who breaks out and turns into a true superstar. That'll be it for
Love
this
it.
episode. Cheers, guys.